Disappointment, that of legends. Heartbroken, really. She's gone. Ain't coming back. Were there signs? Yeah, there were. Did I try? I did. But I could have been better. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to another video. My name is Nico. So today we're looking at the story behind what could have been done and what occurred, and then what you should be looking out for and how you should prepare yourself. Laptops fail, computers fail, things happen. Oftentimes as creators, oftentimes as business people, oftentimes as gamers, oftentimes as normal people, the things happen, and they happen at the worst times. We were working on a big project, and yes, it kind of just stopped working, just turned off, never turned back on. Now, were there signs? Yes, there were some signs. After the warranty expired, conveniently, I would see it turn off here and there. But it would be like, I would leave the office, it would be rendering, it would finish rendering, it would upload the video, and then I would be like, I would see it on Google that it uploaded, and then I would come in and it'd be off, and I'd be like, that's interesting. Must be a Microsoft issue. Must be this kind of issue. Maybe it was this, or maybe it just froze, whatever. And I need to format, put it, Windows back on, and this and that. But it turns out the end finale of this was that the laptop actually fried. It literally fried. Now, in the journey here was that I contacted MSI, and they were probably the worst experience I've ever had with any kind of company, especially at a price point with a laptop like this. This is a gaming laptop. It's got a 1070 card in it. This was good to go for a while yet, and I was expecting to probably replace it at the end of this year, maybe early next year after the new cards come out, all the new technology comes out. And yeah, they were just kind of like, oh, it's out of warranty. We can't help you. I was like, what? What if I pay you? You don't, this is what I'm calling you. I need it fixed. And they're like, well, you should buy a new one. It's not worth fixing. And I was like, what? I want this fixed. How can it not be worth fixing? And it turns out, yeah, they were right. And it turns out, as we were talking back and forth, the disappointment comes because it's almost like they knew what was wrong with it. And you look at it and you go, okay, the chip fried. And they're like, definitely the chip fried. So we need to replace the motherboard. So if you bring it in for us to diagnose it, it's going to take a couple weeks. And then if we do diagnose it, we need to replace the motherboard. It's going to cost you a lot of money. I'm like, great. Okay. So say we do that, what's the possibilities of this working 100%? They're like, well, the problem is that we don't have any motherboards for this model. I'm like, how do you not have any more motherboards to replace this model? Like, it's not like it's like 5 years old. You should have enough. And after conversation after conversation, I came to the realization that they were like, you're out of warranty. We don't care. And it was just kind of a heartbreak. My first time experience with MSI, and it turned out to be, bitter end. I'm building a rig in the time being of trying to figure out what to do with this laptop for the last few months. I've been looking at all the parts, and as you know, it's lockdowns. Same thing with getting this diagnosed. Everybody was like 4 or 5 weeks to just look at it. And then they're like, well, then we could tell you what could happen. Looking for parts, if you've been looking for anything, man, can't even get video cards for the life of us. Like, it is nuts out there with everything, and stock is low, supply is low, things are happening in the world that is just insane. And then you looked at it and you go, okay, what can I do? I need to find somebody who specializes in this. And then from one person to the next, I found this guy, Mike, this old guy, old school. He knew how to do everything inside. Great. All right. I'm like, can you look at the laptop? He's like, all right, but like, there's no point. I was like, no, there is a point. I want to save it. He goes, most likely from what you're describing, you burnt the chip. And I'm like, I didn't burn the chip. It burnt by itself. This is like a defect, like for sure. And the way MSA has been talking to me and kind of like the wink, wink conversations I've had, this is definitely that. And I go, it just conveniently happened after the warranty. He's like, that's what usually happens. Like, I'll take a look at it like I do with everybody's, and then I'll let you know. So, Mike, his company's name, Mike. His company name, Last Resort Computer Revival. He literally, old school, you can see from his website, he literally takes everything apart, and I'll pop up the video here where he's actually taking everything apart and going through the whole scenario and showing, hey, I actually took it apart. And he comes up with these two chips. So he goes, you need to replace these two chips. And of course, he replaces them because I had to see if the laptop would survive. He told me it would be a waste of money. I didn't listen because I needed to know if it was this, and it was this. These two chips, they're little microchips. And, just from that, he realizes, hey, it is fried. It's good to go. And I go, well, what can I do now? He's like, look for used motherboards. I contacted MSI again. They sent me a couple emails on some websites where I can buy used motherboards. And they were from like these websites that had used parts that were like $1,100 to $1,500. I'm like, I'm not buying something like that where I can build a new PC. And because I already started looking for PCs. So then the question became, well, what can I do with this laptop and how does that fit the narrative? So we started looking online, and while looking online, you start to question yourself on what is doable and what is not doable. Um, the idea here becomes, look at all these parts, a lot of parts for MSI, and you can literally take apart this whole computer and piece by piece make your money back to a certain level. Now, I've calculated out to say maybe between $800 to $1,100 at the same time. Time, energy, and money goes into it, and is that worth it? So if I can look at all these parts, add them all up, see what I can do with this laptop, and then turn around and sell it to one of these people selling these parts for say it's 1,000, I make 600, they keep the 400. Hey, why not? They're gonna make 400 profit. I'll make 400, 600 bucks back. We're good to go. So then the question just becomes, what else can I do with this laptop until that happens? And looking on the inside of the computer, we do see the two NVMe drives that I've put in here. We do have the chips for 32 gigabytes, and we do have the card that is the new Wi-Fi 6, and of course the solid state drive. Now the RAM chips, those I know I can sell by myself, no problem, online. That this is a given. Okay, the price and how everything is going with the whole spectacle of lockdowns, it's very easy to just like put something like that up for sale and off you go, because people are looking for certain types of RAM that don't exist, and yeah, you want to do that. Now at the same time, we're looking at it from a perspective of what can we salvage for the new build, and one of these will be the 9060 Evo. Now this is a super fast drive, super fast, and you can use this for anything from a Windows boot drive to and keep your Windows on there and your software on there, to a storage, quick storage access, or even like a caching drive if you want to. But I mean, caching drives, do you really need them in this modern day? Some people will battle you on that, but my tests have shown otherwise. And at the same time, I've been editing off a laptop with one drive. So going to a PC and putting more drives in there, I just don't see the point of changing the workflow, which brings me to the next important point, which is the workflow. You have to look at your workflow and ask yourself, when you're going for the new setup that you're going to go with, what is your workflow? Now, in this case, our laptop here, we had the one drive, and this speedy drive was the Windows and the software on there. And of course, this was doing great, but then you have something like the Samsung Evo 850, not the fastest drive in the world, but when you put the Samsung Magician software on, you can boost this up and it can go a lot faster. Now, this is a terabyte. What we would do is, I have an external drive too that was running off of Thunderbolt 3, and that was another terabyte too that I can edit off, no problem. You can do like 4K off that and 6K, no problem. But this, I connected Google to this. So our workflow was very simple. Whatever we shot, we would come back to the office. I would download everything onto the Google Drive on here. It would upload to the internet, to the Google, and it would back up there. And then from there, it would download to my Synology, and of course, it would give access to everybody that's going to be using that. So we have a backup, and we have the drive, and everybody downloads, and they work on what they have to, and then that just syncs and uploads anything we need. So at the end of the day, you look at it and you say, okay, I need a similar workflow here with the new desktop I'm going to be building, or if I go with another laptop. As you can see, again, the idea here is that I could strip all these parts and then sell each one. add them all up and see how that goes and see what I can get for it. At the same time, these speakers are great, and I'm gonna see if I can take this apart and maybe utilize it in some way where I can make a speaker system for the new build. If I can figure that out, that'd be cool. Just to have some crappy little speakers inside the system work that way, or if I can get them to work and they're not crappy, and I can put them as actual speakers that I can use, because I don't really like, I use my headphones all the time. So, but it's nice to have a little bit of a speakers on the side and go from there. That being said, when to repeat, if you see something happening with your laptop, with your computer, don't hesitate. Go figure out what's wrong. And remember that once you're out of warranty, nobody cares. Period. And in this day and age, when everybody's saying just buy new, just go ahead, just forget about it. There's a reason, and there's a big market for all this old stuff. And of course, they want to sell you something new. So you got to be careful with everything, and you got to find somebody who you trust. Mike was, a godsend at the time, because I couldn't find anybody else to look at this to put my mind at ease to know, hey, it's time to move forward. It took a while to get to that stage, but I mean, yeah, months went by, but hey, we got to the place where we can move forward and not feel like we got totally ripped off, which we did, for the length of what this lasted. But at the end of the day, we can move forward knowing, okay, I can still salvage some of this. I can still move forward with a new rig. I've made plans for that. It's coming through. And you're going to be seeing all the videos for that. And of course, you're going to start to look at it from a perspective of what to do in case of emergencies. This is my last tidbit. Look at this thought process. I had the XPS. If I didn't have the XPS, what would I have to do? Okay, there's no parts out there right now. So to build a computer, you can't build to spec what you want. And I want a creator's build. I don't want a gamer's build. I want a creator's build with my workflow. And that's incredibly hard to do. And same with laptops. What would you buy? You just literally have to buy whatever is available. Again, you get burnt. But if you have the intuition of, hey, there's something wrong, you've been looking now at it and saying, okay, I'm going to go get it checked out. I should start looking for computers. I should start looking at what I need and what exists out there and how I'm going to get it in case this happens and it just crashes. This is critical, because if your workflow needs it, what are you going to do? Be down without a computer? Like, literally, if one of the people that I work with had a situation and their computer died, and we had a client needing something the next day, and I couldn't get them a new computer in time, or a computer in time to finish everything, like, look at that situation. What would you do? You've lost money, so much money. That's just stupid. There's no point to be stupid in that scenario. So that's my 2 cents. Again, it's a heartbreaker, but we gotta keep moving. Leave a comment below. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever had this situation? What did you feel? What did you do? And what would you recommend people below, and how to deal? And of course, check out these 2 videos, because we're moving forward in the world of creatives and getting it done.